This is Campus News, reporting the top stories from colleges and universities.
Next on Campus News.
Students celebrate Charles Darwin's birthday at NDSU with some scaly friends.
See what some NDSU students think about the 3D printing lab in their school.
Can you inspire a panel of judges in just 2 minutes? Students take the stage to land a spot in NDSU's TEDx.
But first, North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum is proposing changes to higher education. Good morning and welcome to Campus News. I'm Benjamin Reiki.
And I'm Veronica Utek. North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum is calling for a change in higher education.
Burgum's plan will include a push for more online classes, which could impact students. Reporter Anthony Frigin spoke with students about how they felt about the plan.
This is Alexis. Alexis, like most of her generation, is choosing to take their education online. In her case, upwards of 5 classes. And there are some benefits.
I took online courses just to try to get ahead and more caught up. I had recently switched my major, so I needed to take these online courses to just kind of get myself on the right track so that I wouldn't fall too far behind.
It's no longer tied to the school day, to a school building, or during the school year. And we can't prepare our kids for the 21st century using a 19th century model.
Governor Burgum is calling for a change in higher education, which will include an increased emphasis in online education. Burgum believes that there are a lot of positives with higher education currently, but that fundamental changes are coming in education and how knowledge is transferred.
It's a lot harder to absorb the material, I feel like, just because you have to really teach it to yourself, and if that's not your strong suit, it can really be a challenge.
But some are opposed to different forms of online education.
Whole bunch of different delivery models, and one of the worst, in my opinion, is just the taking an online class and have it being just PowerPoint, where you're plugging and playing and just going through one lecture at a time or one set of PowerPoint notes at a time. I think that that's a very terrible delivery model for students.
The debate remains on whether Burgum's plan will succeed, but the bigger question is, will an increased emphasis in online higher education work for North Dakota students? With photographer Jared Schumacher, Anthony Frigin, Campus News.
Governor Burgum is proposing a $613 million budget for higher education over the next 3 years. That's down nearly $300 million from the previous budget. Paying for college can be difficult, but some students are turning to crowdfunding. Students are taking advantage of sites like GoFundMe. Usually startup businesses and charities use crowdfunding as a way to help with heavy expenses. While on the website, friends, family, or anonymous donors can make contributions. But students are now using it to help for tuition and books or to cover the cost of studying abroad. In the last 3 years, students have raised $60 million to help earn their degrees.
TEDx is coming to NDSU, but before the big night, they need to figure out who gets to share their stories. Reporter Jaron Eischen went to the 2-minute auditions to see students inspire the judges and hopefully earn a spot on stage.
This is you giving a TED Talk for 2 minutes.
TEDx Talks are coming to NDSU.
When you stop letting your problems hold you back.
There were 5 faculty members and 35 students who auditioned in hopes of sharing their ideas on the big stage.
The more other people who are already struggling will face a lack of food resources.
The idea of TEDx Talks are for speakers to talk about their ideas worth sharing.
You don't know me, but you can define me.
And that's exactly what they did.
He decided to make the change.
TEDx Auditions is one of really good mediums on campus to spread the ideas as well as inspire people. And not just inspire them, but also gather them together in order to work on even bigger projects in the future.
Students and faculty who auditioned had exactly 2 minutes to impress the judges.
Enjoy the bag. You will be okay.
The judges narrowed it down to 2 students and 1 faculty member. Noir explains what it meant to tell her story.
This child to this day still struggles.
I was hoping to inspire people by it and not really go out there and say I'm there to win.
Jared Eischen.
We couldn't stand by and let this go on any longer.
Campus News.
The event takes place April 24th, but only 100 tickets are being sold.
At NDSU's Memorial Union, family members, friends, and fellow students came together to celebrate the lives of 6 NDSU students who passed away this academic year. The most recent deaths being Carson Roney and Danny Thompson. One by one, students and staff approached the podium. Over flickering flames, they shared stories with laughter and tears. NDSU President Dean Brashani said in an emotional address, "We may be weaker for this loss, we will be stronger with this memory." NDSU student Morgan Seminary came to the event to remember her friend Danny, who she has known since childhood.
I was really surprised that there were so many people that came and that President Brashani was here. It was really moving to see that so many people cared and came together to support everyone that's passed away.
Of the 6 students who died, several were not actively attending the university. Their deaths had not been made public knowledge, nor their names given out.
A class at Concordia College is using martial arts to teach spirituality. Reporter Jacob Ambrose shows us how students are improving their bodies and minds.
Beautiful text.
Here at Concordia, students gather for their religion and the body course, an elective offered where students attend a class on campus and participate in a hands-on lab called Aikido.
In my part of the class, I'm really asking students to transform how they're thinking about their own relationship with their bodies. What is the role of the body in acquiring knowledge? What is the role of the body in spirituality?
In the lab, students learn an ancient martial art used for self-defense, but also helps them understand what they are learning in the course.
My goal is to introduce them to Aikido. Without what my body is experiencing, I would never really understand these concepts.
People rarely talk in this lab. That's why learning can sometimes be a challenge.
Aikido is taught not by verbal communication, but by physical practice.
Students practice with each other and learn the roles that their bodies play in this religious course.
The one thing that I'm always working on with the students is that, I tell them this, the minute you think you know what you're doing, I'm going to change it.
Luika says the class affects people in different ways, but hopes it will be a useful tool for the future. With photographer Leah Backstrom, Jacob Ambrose, Campus News.
The class meets at Dojo on Mondays and Wednesdays and in the classroom Tuesdays and Thursdays.
A Georgia woman is proving that age can't stop her from achieving her goals. 80-year-old Orenza London just graduated with her 4-year college degree at Apex School of Theology in Columbus, Georgia, and she's not done with school yet. She graduated with a theology degree and now ministers at a local jail 3 times a week. The 80-year-old says you're only as young as you feel, and she's not stopping yet. She plans on continuing her ministry, getting a master's degree, and writing a book. Her graduation ceremony is in May. Transferring colleges can be quite the process. According to a national survey, more and more college students are swapping schools.
But with the help and guidance of admissions experts, reporter Trevor Tice shows us why students say there's usually a light at the end of the tunnel.
According to a 2015 report by the National Student Clearinghouse Research Center, more than 1/3 of college students transfer schools at least once in their academic careers.
I transferred from Ridgewater College in Wilmer, Minnesota.
Of the 33% of students transferring, nearly half, or about 15%, transfer more than once. Over at MSUM, staff members say they try to accommodate transfer students as much as they can.
We really try in this office to help that process, to be able to have them come to a new student orientation, so then they can meet with an advisor and then talk about those transfer credits, so they're able to really take advantage of the classes they've already taken, because we want them to get credit for those.
At M-State Moorhead, enrollment manager Amanda Breslin says students come and go for a variety of reasons.
These students choose to start with a campus like ours because it offers those smaller classrooms. It's a little bit more cost effective than starting on a university setting.
MSUM junior Daniel Tusa decided to transfer after changing his major. He, like many other transfer students, says the process of choosing a school to move to can be a grueling one.
Kind of to take time to figure out what I wanted to do, and one of the colleges that I was looking at was MSUM, and it eventually influenced my decision to come up here because they had a couple of the special programs that I really wanted to try out.
Being a transfer student and engaging in the rigorous process of paperwork, emails, and more can be frustrating for many.
The process was okay. There were some difficulties. I had a couple of credits that didn't transfer.
But in the end, Tusa says wherever you end up, you'll know you're in the right place. With photographer Jared Eischen, Trevor Tice, Campus News.
According to the National Student Clearinghouse, this year's transfer enrollment is down 1.6% from 2016. Concordia College's science department is getting some major upgrades thanks to a generous grant. The $960,000 grant comes from the Scholarships in Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics program. The majority of the money will be going towards scholarships for students in the college's science programs. The grant will last until February 28, 2022. Concordia expects the first group of scholars to join campus this fall.
NDSU is celebrating Charles Darwin's birthday and the theory of evolution. Reporter James McCarty went to NDSU to see all the live reptiles and interactive activities that Darwin Days had to offer.
Students are gathering at NDSU for a 2-day event to see interesting exhibits.
Evolution is central to understanding biology, and we felt that a lot of people don't really understand evolution or know much about it.
So students here at NDSU are here to celebrate Charles Darwin's birthday and his theory of evolution with guys like this snake I'm holding right here, actually. This year, they even had a new display on the evolution of the horse's hoof.
A long time ago, the ancestor of the horse had multiple toes, whereas we know today most horses have the one hoof, and so it shows the progression in that trait.
NDSU student Madison Milbrath is volunteering at this event for the first time.
Well, I thought it's really just kind of a fun activity, and we can actually show a lot of history of the world through science, and so if we can get a chance to share that with a lot of people, that's always great.
Milbrath thinks the event is becoming more interactive every year and that students are finding new things to show and teach. With photographer Anna Sandmeyer, James McCarty, Campus News.
NDSU has hosted Darwin Days for 8 years, and Boucher is impressed with how much the event has grown with the students.
A dramatic drop in international student enrollment is leaving some colleges scrambling to save their engineering programs. In 2016, engineering schools nationwide saw a decrease in enrollment in students from other countries, with some seeing a 30% drop. While foreign students make up only 19% of all U.S. college students, they make up 55% of those studying computer science and engineering. Demand for students in engineering programs now outweighs the supply. University of Massachusetts Engineering Dean Tim Anderson believes the decline could be a side effect of President Donald Trump's anti-immigration rhetoric. 3D printing is becoming more accessible for students of NDSU.
Although there are other 3D printers available on campus, the Impact Grant awarded the library $50,000 for students of any major to have access to 3D printing. Reporter Zac Hoffner shows us what the students of NDSU think about these 3D printers.
As soon as students step through the doors at NDSU's library, it's easy to find the 3D printing room. Yet some students don't know how to access it or why anyone would.
Well, I mean, it hasn't been very important in my life. Like, I haven't needed to use it anytime. I honestly don't know why it would be that important.
Here in NDSU's library, located in the 3D printing room, students of any major are given the opportunity to 3D print anything they'd wish using an app called Google SketchUp. You can print anything from Squirtle and Bulbasaur to Bison and Dragon. 3D printed figurines of all sorts line the walls in the room, and although most of the printing is done for personal use, some say having the 3D printer access is beneficial.
I think as technology in different fields grow and change, this will be extremely important for them. A lot of high school students are already learning 3D printing in their high school classes, and getting to know a little bit about it is just a great way to get ahead of the curve when they go out and look for a job.
Self-portraits and garden gnomes, castles and gator clips, kitties and elephants. These are just a few of the objects pre-sketched for students, but with some figurines taking up to 20 hours to print at $5 an hour, most of the students we spoke with shy away from 3D printing.
No, not at all. I think that's ridiculous, honestly.
So although 3D printing might find a more prevalent place in the future, right now, most of the students we spoke with don't see a need for it at all. With photographer Taymor Sati, Zac Hoffner, Campus News.
NDSU has 6 different 3D printers on campus. They received their first one back in 2014. A Canadian university is trying to spark young girls' interest in science. University of Alberta Chapter of Women in Scholarship, Engineering, Science, and Technology held its annual conference that aims to get more women interested in the field of science. 600 sixth-grade girls attended the two-day event, which featured a Nancy Drew-style forensic investigation and a 3D printing workshop. Statistics Canada found women accounted for just 12.8% of civil, mechanical, and chemical engineers in 2011. The University of Alberta chapter has been working to close the gap since 1991. A group of MSUM students is raising awareness about the 5 signs of emotional suffering, while they work to normalize the topic of emotional health.
Reporter Stephen Larson shows us how students are using canvases to take a break from their busy schedules for a night of painting, relaxing, and learning.
In the CMU ballroom, students got their hands dirty, painting pictures to stop the stigma surrounding mental illness.
We are doing Canvas the Change. What this is just kind of an event to bring overall awareness to the campaign to change direction. Their goal is to normalize the conversation on mental health and really kind of end the negative stigma that surrounds mental health.
Students who showed up took a pledge to know the 5 signs of mental illness and were also able to enjoy refreshment while painting with their friends.
We are a group of seniors working in the public relations degree. We got assigned at the beginning of the year the Campaign to Change Direction as our nonprofit organization to work with.
MSUM senior Courtney O'Reilly showed up to learn more about mental health as well as to paint a canvas for change.
I heard there was an event talking about mental health and kind of changing the stigma, ending the stigma. And I was really interested in that because I think mental health is a major issue that gets kind of swept under the rug. And it's a common thing that happens to everyone, and it's not something to be ashamed of.
This is not the last event that the group will put on, as they are in the process of planning several others. With photographer Tamar Sati, Stephen Larson, Campus News.
If you're interested in the group's work, you can follow them on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at MSUM4Change.
And now we turn it over to Haley Foster for a look at this week's sports.
Haley, looks like some Dragons have a pretty exciting trip ahead of them.
That's right, Veronica. Nearly a decade ago, an All-American relay team in the 200-meter medley, as well as an individual champion in the 100-meter breaststroke, walked the halls of Nemzik Fieldhouse at MSUM. This week, the Dragons are on the hunt again as they head to the Division II National Swimming and Diving Championships. Reporter Brandon Larson introduces us to the women in the water.
Going to nationals is a college athlete's dream come true. Seeing your hard work pay off is always nice, but for this MSUM swimmer, getting to compete with fellow Dragons is a cherry on top.
It's pretty exciting to be top dog. It's fun to have other people come to nationals also, because last year I went by myself. So then having teammates this year will be a lot more fun.
Sullivan and 4 relay teammates will be competing in Birmingham, Alabama. It's a position the junior is familiar with after her first trip to the championships last season. She missed qualifying for nationals by 0.2 seconds as a freshman.
She was kind of an average swimmer in high school, and she came here and really put the effort in, works hard every single day, is just dedicated. She's a great leader.
Sullivan finished 13th in the 100-meter backstroke at nationals last year, but has her eyes set on the top 8. She is currently seated 3rd, but says she can't afford to let up her preparations.
Just finishing everything in the pool, figuring out technique and flip turns and everything like that. Getting enough sleep, which I need to work on, and just being prepared mentally to go and swim fast.
Head coach Todd Peters was in charge of the MSUM program when it first earned All-American honors in 2008 and has led swimmers to qualify for nationals each of the last 13 seasons.
One of the most talented groups of people I've ever had the opportunity to coach. They work very, very hard. They have high goals, high expectations, and so it's a lot of fun.
This year, a new NCAA rule is allowing other Dragons to join Sullivan at nationals. When a team has at least one individual qualifier, they can also bring up to 4 relay-only swimmers if their times are fast enough.
I think the experience is going to be a lot more positive for her. It's going to be a lot more conducive for her to be successful.
With photographer Robin Rohde, Brandon Larson, Campus News Sports.
Sullivan qualified in the 100 backstroke, the 50 freestyle, and the 200 backstroke. She will also be swimming in 4 relays. The group will be competing at nationals from March 8th to the 11th. Takedowns and near falls prevailed at the NCAA Division II Wrestling Regional Tournament. 15 schools competed at the event in Nemzik Fieldhouse. The tournament divided the wrestlers into their respective weight classes. The top 4 finishers from each weight class qualified for nationals. MSUM head coach Kris Nelson says hosting the event provided something special for his team.
It's really nice to have that fan support, and I really think that helps our guys wrestle better.
This is the first time MSUM has hosted the regional tournament. Among the wrestlers at the tournament was one standout from MSUM who's poised to compete for a national championship. Reporter John Doss shows us how he's preparing for an extended title run.
Senior wrestler Blake Bosch holds the 2015-2016 regional championship. However, he only has one goal in mind.
My goal since I've come here is to be a national champion. I mean, last year I was a regional champion, but I fell short of nationals, so it's all got to build up to the last stage in the national tournament.
Ending on top for Bosch is a process. It's the little things and the belief in his coaches which helps him continue his success.
The strength coaches know what they're doing, our head coaches know what they're doing, and all the assistant coaches, they all want us to succeed, so you just got to trust them.
Trusting the process has led Bosch to many accomplishments, one of his favorites of which was accomplished this year in Vegas.
I got my 100th win. That was pretty sweet, getting that right before Christmas break. And then I guess getting my award for my 100th win in front of the home crowd was awesome too.
Head coach Kris Nelson believes that Bosch's experience and hard work he has put in gives him a good chance at becoming a national champion.
We put in a lot of work this summer, doing wrestling camps and staying in our own town here, lifting weights and wrestling a lot. So, I think he's done everything that is needed.
Bosch looks to make this championship push his last year as a Dragon. But what he'll miss the most is his teammates and all the familiar faces.
It's just going to be weird not seeing them every day, and I'm going to miss that a lot. It's like another family.
With the national tournament coming up, Bosch and his teammates look to make an impact and end the season strong. With photographer Tanner Robinson, John Doss, Campus News Sports.
Bosch will compete in the national tournament starting on March 10th. An Erie Community College player is facing charges after allegedly attacking a referee last weekend. Freshman defenseman Brandon Day left the penalty box and charged the referee with 39 seconds left in the final NJCAA championship game. Officials were forced to end the match at that point. ECC ended up losing the game 7-4 to Dakota College of Bottineau. Day is in police custody, and officials say he is in the process of being charged, but they wouldn't specify what charges he was facing. The Concordia College women's hockey team is having a successful season this year. Now they want to take that winning spirit and join another battle away from the rink. Reporter Tanner Robinson shows us how the Cobbers are sticking it to cancer.
Outside the Moorhead Sports Center, the sun is setting on a cold night. But inside, the crowd looks on as the Concordia women's hockey team plays in its annual cancer awareness game. Senior forward Ambrose organized the event, and her personal connection with cancer gave her an extra boost as a leader.
My grandpa actually passed away from cancer before I even had the chance to meet him. So just being able to raise awareness and raise money and just get the community and Concordia involved means a lot to me.
Before the game, the seniors skated onto the ice with their parents to be honored for their hard work. One of those seniors, forward Ellen Rethwish, says she will miss the bond she had with her graduating teammates.
We've been playing, like I said, for our entire lives, and it's something that we've dedicated ourselves to, and it's just super weird that it's all going to end.
During a break in the action, fans threw pucks as close as they could to center ice as part of a fundraiser for the fight against cancer. Schock says events like this have had a very positive effect on the community.
With the Relay for Life events and the other Stick It to Cancer games we've had, they definitely appreciate it, and anyone else on the team who's lost family members or close friends, they all appreciate the event as well.
Cancer is a hard-hitting disease, but the Cobbers say they are doing their best to raise awareness and to achieve the goal of finding a cure. With photographer Tyler Ziegler, Tanner Robinson, Campus News Sports.
This is the 7th time Concordia has hosted Stick It to Cancer. What an awesome way to raise awareness for such an important cause.
It's always great to see teams interacting with their communities like this.
Agreed. Thanks, Haley. Students at MSUM took a break from their busy schedules for a night away from the game of life.
Reporter Tyler Ziegler brings us to MSUM's Comstock Memorial Union, where students get a clue playing their favorite board games.
Rows of cards, rows of friends, and rows of boxes set the scene in the CMU's ballroom as students gather to unwind from the stress of college for late night game night.
It's at that point in the semester where everyone's starting to freak out about midterms, so we thought, why not just play some games?
Here at Late Night Game Night, students come to the ballroom at the CMU and test out their board game skills against one another. At the end of the night, they get to take home their favorite game. The night featured the classic games, some odds and ends, and even one game that made the trip all the way from another country.
In Nigeria, right, we got this game that is played with cards. It's called WHOT, W-H-O-T. It's just a fun game, but like in this game, a lot of emotions get flared up. Keep your eyes to your car, man.
I want the end of the night to be people walking away laughing and having at least some good memory of this event.
So we gotta get some clues first, okay.
At the end of the night, students get to leave with their favorite game, but it all comes down to the roll of the dice. With photographers Branson Reeser and Derek Barkowitz, Tyler Ziegler, Campus News.
This is the 8th time MSUM has hosted a version of Late Night Game Night. And that's it for this edition of Campus News.
We leave you with another look at MSUM's Dragons swimming and diving team.
Thanks for joining us and have a great week.
Campus News is produced by the Television News Workshop in the School of Communication and Journalism at Minnesota State University Moorhead in cooperation with Prairie Public Television.